Now down in the meadow in a little fishy pool lives 3 little fishes and a mama fishy too. Now swim, said the mama fishy, swim if you can.
Let's go up Trevailer. Nah. Let's go down the pool. Let's go out to Foxwoods, eh? Nah. Let's stay here in the cool. Well, you're a poet and you don't know it. We were sitting on the step outside my house. Lewis, Bobby, Whippet, whose real name was Clarence, his brother Goblin, who used to be called Baldnut because the American GIs had shaved his hair off during the war, but whose real name was Cyril, Wally, who was a really good swimmer because he had webbed feet, his brother Big Wally, and me. It was a scorching hot summer day round about noon, and we were spread-eagled over the step and on the pavement. I knew my dad would be home for his dinner soon and would embarrass me by moaning about not being able to get into his own house, and why couldn't they sit on someone else's step. But number 40 was a sun trap. We all knew that. "Why don't we go out Black Rock and build a raft?" I said. "Yeah," said Bobby, "and we could sail to the Scillies or even Africa." "Don't be daft," said Big Wally. "That would take weeks. And we'd have to take food and that, and it might rain, and we would have storms and everything." "I'm not scared of a bit of rain," said Bobby, "even if you are." "You better watch it, Soudix," said Big Wally, catching hold of Bobby by the collar of his shirt, "'cause I might give you a Boogiana fit." A Boogiana fit involved Big Wally yelling and cavorting around and inflicting various tortures like deadeners or Chinese burns to his victim. This is why Big Wally was sometimes called Big Boogie, and his brother David was called Little Boogie. But today they were called Wally and Big Wally. "Come on," said Lewis, "let's get our cozies and go out Black Rock." "Yeah," said Whippet, "we might see Dirty Dick and get some money." "I'd rather build a raft," shouted Bobby. "Come on, gang, let's go." He jumped to his feet and started to sing the marching chorus from the desert song. "There's a place beneath the sun for all." As he was dancing in the middle of the road, we looked to the top of the street and saw Ivor, the boss of the gang, Johnny Nick and his brother Jimmy, strolling down towards us. Johnny Nick was a bit of a hero to me and Lewis, because he looked like Johnny Weismiller, and he was the best swimmer in the gang. But Ivor was our leader, 4 years older, our hero, our icon. If he had told any one of us to throw ourselves in front of a rarely seen car, we would have done it without hesitation. The sun was shining behind him, and it made his black hair shine. He was eating an apple, and his shirt sleeves were rolled high over his sun-bronzed arms, and I thought he was the handsomest human being I'd seen in all my 7 years on this earth. He was my god. "You!" he shouted to us. "Hey, Ive, can I have the core?" pleaded Bobby. "Can I have it, Ive? Oh, Ive, give us the core, eh?" We all begged him for the remains of his apple, not because we desired the precious little fruit that was left, but because it would bestow an honour on us. We would be part of Ivor's coterie, his inner sanctum. "Nah, gonna give it to Louis," said our leader. It was only years later that I discovered that Lewis's mum always gave Ivor a bag of apples so that he would look after her son. "Where you going, Ive?" said Big Wally. "Down the harbour for a swim," said our leader. "Yeah, so are we," we all chorused. I didn't think it prudent to remind them about Black Rock. "Yeah, but we're not going to number 7 steps. We're going to number 10, said Ivor. "Yeah, great," said Goblin, "'cause then we could look in the mortuary. Yeah, and we might see some dead bodies." "I seed a dead German laid out in there once," lied Jimmy Nick. "Yeah, I see the German pilot," shouted Wally, "'cause he had an helmet on and everything, and there was blood all over his face, and he only had one leg, and his arm was all mashed up, and there was blood everywhere." The assumed mortuary was a shed that bordered the railway sidings near the quay. You had to climb up on the sea wall and precariously balance on tiptoe, with the sea about 20 feet below you, to look through a grille about 3 inches wide. I could never see anything through it, but it did smell pretty bad. "You little liard," shouted Wally's brother. "You couldn't have seen all that through that little hole?" "I bloody did, didn't I, Whiteo?" He punched me on the arm to get confirmation. "Yeah, I remember. We all saw it, didn't we, Lou?" "Yeah," confirmed Lewis. "There was a bit of his plane in there too." Lewis looked at me to see if he had gone too far. Bobby broke the silence. "We going down harbour or what?" "Yeah, we are," laughed Big Wally. "But I dunno what you're going to do, Bob, 'cause you can't even swim." "I can swim if I want to," shouted Bobby, who was the youngest of us. "I just don't want to." "Yeah, come on, gang, let's go," shouted Wally. "There's a place beneath the sun for all." And so we all went down to number 10 steps, and we all jumped in or dived in if we knew how, and we all swam and laughed and splashed and swam underwater, and Bobby stood shivering on the steps watching us, his cosy cut down from one of his old jumpers hanging loosely about his legs. Then, without warning, he stood on the edge of the step, gave out a Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan yell, and jumped into the harbour with us, and came up spluttering and laughing and spitting out water and crying, "See, I can swim! I can swim! I told you I could if I wanted to, Boogie! Oh, shit!" He started flailing his arms around and looked red in the face and just slightly terrified. But we held him up and supported him, and he quickly started to dog's paddle back to the steps. He climbed on to the landing and stood there dripping water and grinning, elated and victorious. We decided that day that soon Bobby would have to take the initiative test of swimming out to the raft in the middle of the pool. But that's another story.